Right, now if I just pull over OneNote onto the screen, hopefully you can see the task that you need to do. So these are the elements that you need to put in. Now we're going to use the form that we had in the previous task, and we're just going to change it. So what we need to do is create a new form, insert a title of the form called add pupil. Then we've got to add this information in here, the form elements. A back button, okay, that returns the user to the main menu, a save button, and then we've got to be able to annotate it. So that's our task. Let's move that out of the way. Right, so we've got to create a form to save information about a pupil. So I'm going to use the same form that we had from the previous task. I'm going to do file save as. Okay, and in here I'm just going to call it a new pupil. So new pupil, like so. Right, so what I'm going to do is just use this as my base. Okay, so I don't want to sort of like do everything from scratch, and you don't need to do that. That's the good thing about this. You don't have to create everything from scratch. A lot of it is just understanding where things work and fit in, and then just, you know, editing them, manipulating them, or whatever it might be. So first thing we're going to do, we're going to work down the bottom like we did previously, where we had our instance for tkinter to create our window, which was down here. Now all we need to do is start thinking about changing names. I mean, in some ways you probably don't need to, but I think it's good practice to do that because it helps you understand where things fit in. So rather than having add teacher, I'm going to have add pupil, like so. So add pupil is still creating an instance. Next one along, we've got add teacher. I'm going to change that. So basically just changing a reference from a window which was add teacher win. It's now going to be add pupil win. Okay, so let's change that there. Now the title, and you can see that's one of the things you needed to do. So rather than having add teacher, we're just going to have add pupil. Name of the window still. Size of the window is exactly the same using geometry. So frame 1, so we're not changing anything here. We're still using the same structure in terms of having the entry box and labels at the top, and then the buttons at the bottom. So again, pupil, I can keep that the same. Frame 1 pack, that's fine. And I've come down to, so this is where my labels start. So I don't need as many labels and entry boxes I've got on the other one, so we have to remove some. But what we're going to do is just change some of these. So again, I'm just going to write over pupil ID. Okay, so that's fine. Then we've got teacher ID again, so I want to change this to pupil. Basically, I'm just changing any references, and I can, you know what, let's just make it easy on myself. Let's copy and paste. Pupil ID var, string, okay. Well, I've got my reference there to teacher ID var, it's pupil. it's just a case of literally going through it and changing any reference to teacher to pupil to make it relevant for the task that you're doing. Let's have a look down here. So pupil, so I think we got that one done. The next one that we're looking at is first name. So, you know, first name, actually, there's nothing to change on there. We can just keep that as it is. Okay, because you can see first name, that's fine. Surname, again, that's fine. So we don't really need to change anything here. First name var, that's fine. No reference there to teacher. Then we've got surname, that's fine. We've got address. Now we don't need address. We've got form. Class, I think it's a form class, like so. Address, obviously that's not going to be addresses, so we're going to change that to form. Okay, so make sure. So the name of our variable is going to be form var, not address, like so. So change the reference there. Next one, postcode. It's not postcode, it's going to be date of birth. So again, I'm going to change my label to date of birth. Postcode, I'm going to put DOB, date of birth. Again, just copy that, paste, make it easy on yourself. There go. So all these things should match up now. DOB var, yeah, that looks good. We don't need qualification. Well, we don't need that extra bit of the form, to be honest. So let's just change these. So we've got our form elements for the first name. Okay, so that's going to be the pupil ID. For not address, it's going to be form. So we're doing the annotation as we go. So for form class. And then this is going to be for the date of birth, EOB. Stick with that. Right, now we come down to the bottom. This is the bit, so frame 2. And you can see, as annotated from the previous one, it just says add teacher win. So, okay, so we've got add teacher win reference here. We know it should be add pupil win. So it's just a reference to the window. Okay, we've got the block down here for the buttons. Frame 2, frame 1. Nothing changed there. Button 1, frame 2, it's the same. Back, add teacher. Not going to be add teacher. So we just make sure, easy things, just change it from teacher to pupil. Back button still closes the window. It would go back to another window, but we haven't got that functionality in at the minute. Save teacher, save pupil. So here we go. This bit here, the pack, left, right, that's fine. That's not a problem. Add teacher. So the name of our function, not going to be add teacher, it's going to be add pupil, like so. Change my comment there. Pupil. What else is there? Let's have a just double check. Save pupil. Pupil. Okay, so now when we click the save button, we're going to go call that function. Now, if you remember, we've got the add teacher function, which is the main function we're working through. We change to add pupil, add teacher, add pupil. Not save teacher. Guess what? Save pupil. So this is now going to call this function. If you remember, this is where the processing, okay, the function that processes the form. Now we know we don't need the qualification because we're not using that part of the form. Okay, like so. Now let's just save that. Let's just see, does that work? Let's have a check and see. Is it going to chuck up some errors? Oh, hang on, what's that? Add pupils win. Where's that? What line is that on? Line 36. Let me just go down to where that is. I just add pupils. Add pupil, Mr. Dudley. Mr. Pupil. Let's try again. Just be careful. Oh, look at that. There you go. We've created a form. Pupil ID, tick. First name, tick. Surname, form class, date of birth, tick. 2 buttons. Obviously, at the minute, it doesn't write them to file that we want it to do. We want to do it slightly differently because we've all got all this reference to teacher. So again, we're retrieving the pupil ID var. So retrieve the pupil ID from the form and save to, not teacher ID save, pupil ID save, like so. And I'm going to change that to pupil ID save. And I'm going to change that. That's okay. Teacher ID save, pupil ID save. First name's okay because we didn't change any for first name and surnames. We can just leave them absolutely fine. It's not address save. If we come down to what our next, so the last 2 things we've got are form var. Okay, so it's what form class then. So I'll just copy that. It's not address save. Oops, sorry, it's not address. It's that one there, isn't it? Form var. So now I'm going to do form save, paste that there, paste that there, and then I've got, what was the last one called? It's dob var. Okay, so not postcode save. Oh, put in the wrong one. There, dob var. So that's going to be dob save. Okay, so it's just working out how these things kind of knit together. Just copying and pasting, changing it, that's all we're doing. Okay, so not the address, the form. Not the postcode, the date of birth. Okay, now then, file objects. So let's just check, what did it say? It said to pupil details.txt. Pupil txt, okay, append, that's fine. Now you can see we've got the variables here, so we don't need all these because we don't have the qual one. We didn't use these names, so what we've got to do is pupil ID save, that's one. First name save. Well, that's the same as we didn't need to turn out. First name, surname. Form save was the next one. Ob save. Okay, so that's going to write those. If you remember, it's going to have spaces in between. Well, I might change that. I'm going to change that to like 10 or something. Okay, just because I can. It doesn't really matter, you don't have to. There and there. Right, now close my connection. My confirmation window, pupil details. Hey, fingers crossed. Let's just try and see if this works now. Pupil ID. So let's just make something 9901, 9909. First name, Dave. Dave Snail. Dave Snail. Form class 9B. Dates of birth, which we now, I don't know, 12th 9 2009. Okay. It doesn't say a particular format, so you think about that when we're looking at validation. Okay, save. Pupil details saved successfully. That's good. I like that. Let's go to the folder. Where is it? Let's have a look over here. Let's just folder open. Just drag that across. Oh, it's going to let me do that. Okay, so I've got my window here. Pupil details, let's have a look. Dave Snail, 9B, look at that, it's worked. Okay, my pupil details.txt. Let's go back to my phony. That's still going. Click back, that should destroy the window. Brilliant. So what we've done is used an existing form. You've got to get into the habit of doing this, using what's in front of you, using the material. Hunt it down, use it. We've created a new form called New Pupil. We've given it the title of Add Pupil down here. We've provided the form elements that it asks for: pupil ID, first name, surname, form class, date of birth. A functioning back button. Well, it's a back button that would work if we had the rest of it kind of like fitted in, but the back button which destroys that window when we hit it. Save button, it takes all that information from the form, like we did at the top here, processed it inside this function, and wrote it to the file. Okay, the annotation of your code, well, we did it as we went along. Just make sure that you haven't missed anything. If you're not sure, just go back over it, but that is job done.